And the essence of the krysta thing is, if you have to delete someone's post, and that goes for the Odd Trail sled dog race and the Yukon Quest and pretty much any political thing anywhere, if you're deleting someone else's commentary, whether it's about a sport or whether it's about a nonprofit or a social cause or even a personal thing, if you have to delete someone else's commentary, that's when you lost. Because you ought to be able to just, in a calm and rational manner, offer a rebuttal, and through that dialogue and conversation, the outside world who's not familiar with the issue should be able to make their own determination about who and what information and facts make sense to them in terms of relevance, in terms of getting traction, to something that they can sort of get their mind around and sink their teeth into metaphorically and believe in, so that they can come to an understanding and they can decide what they think. Now, the issue is with this krysta Fee, she wants to delete and try to suppress as much as she can this very rational and thoughtful commentary about community organizing that did include the suggestion and the thought, that maybe there's something wrong with how it came about, that this person they're sort of running this thing. It's not a technical nonprofit organization. There's a link to her personal PayPal for her Storm Studio thing in Palmer, and for her yoga acrobatic thing, and to accept money that way. And then there's like half a dozen other ways, or at least multiple other ways to accept money for multiple other people on the behalf of multiple other people. And there isn't, there isn't a clear nonprofit, and there is not a fiscal sponsor, so there isn't the transparency in terms of what's happening with the money and the economics. Now, if a nonprofit was incorporated, that is where, after a couple months into this sort of project, that's where this sort of scenario where your sort of ringleader, who seems to be this krysta Fee, who also additionally should be noted is basically denying people in groups access to help. She's denying the people who are in need assistance based on personal politics. And what it is Martin Boozer, who is an immigrant who came from Switzerland, Zurich, Switzerland. He's a son of a wealthy doctor, and he kind of came over here and worked some odd jobs, fishing, and did a little mountain climbing, and got on the dog mushing, kind of got a lot of money from Switzerland. And he's also connected to Mary Lou Whitney. He's like a millionaire heiress on New York. So, and she, sort of owns this thing and dumps tons of money into this. He's got some sponsors, and it's not hard to do. It's like any business. You have the money and you have a sense for business. It's basically economics, and he's got people that come and do tons and tons of the work. He just kind of hangs out, holes up on the computer in his little loft there above his clapboard house there in Big Lake. And so you have this moment where there's a little tension between Martin and me about other things that are unrelated, and so Martin's going to kind of sneak around and badmouth. And the truth of the deal is, I don't really need to badmouth him. There's tension. That's enough. It is. The facts speak for themselves. He's got tons of money, and I don't. So that's that. But to try to get beyond the economics, because this is basically like a bank clerk. Mary Lou Whitney's basically a bank. You get a bank clerk up here in this sort of remote spot, masquerading as a sled dog musher, and this is all economics. But anyway, so the bank clerk, who is in a position of influence and power, since he's connected to the bank and the money, and the machine of economics, where all things come from that. It's like, well, there's something wrong with this person. So this lady is freaking out and saying trespassing and defamation and I'm a sexist and all this shit. And the reality is, if anything, I represent women and minorities with a lot of what I'm trying to do, in terms of trying to not forget about, try to involve more the natives, people from the villages, specific people without tons of money, with this one dog class concept, and also the one dog class concept and the reform that we're trying to bring to the sled dog world is sort of to protect, not just to reach women, and young women, but to sort of protect, this thing with the handler-musher relationship, where people can get taken advantage of, whether they're women or men, by the person, the other person in power, because they don't have the workers' rights, etc. So, and I kind of lambasted off into this much more volatile version of this discussion a couple days ago, and I'm sure and I got that archived somewhere. But this is sort of give it a couple days, chill, and a little bit more of a rational, quiet, focused take on this sort of thing, because the Krysta Feast sort of lashing out at me when I posted my podcast about the community organizing. When I tried to get involved, there was hesitation, and then there was the allegation that I didn't really want to help, and this, that, and the other thing, and it was one of those things where I was just passing through the area, and I was up there to take care of the storage unit, and for the last several years with the one dog class, we've been working towards. Battery's gonna die, and that's gonna wrap it up. But we've been working towards something similar, where there was the fire, the person, people in Toke, the Denny family, or Tanacross lost their house, and then Dave Olsen up at Yellowknife, and I was like, and I'm thinking this much, it's a little bit more of an intelligent, articulated thing, and you can see it. It's not like I'm coming out of the blue trying to jump in on this organization or anything. We're trying to make this connect so much more than just get some excavators donated and slap together some cabins. So, but it's the moment where they're doing things illegally and technically wrong, and they don't want to admit that guilt, the potential for embezzlement, all the problems that go with the fact that they think they can additionally exclude groups and people from participating and helping the people who are in need, thus denying the people who are in need and operating in a way that's contrary to the social mission which they're supposed to be about, which is trying to help get these people in these cabins, and the fact that they're not even an organization. So there's sort of like a layers of problems that are developing and coming to a head with this, and it's something that I think is really going to haunt those people in the mushing community, because it's similar to the fact that, like the Iditarod, they just want to exclude people. They want to kick people out. They don't. It's just a homey little group of people. It's a nonprofit, and all these dog mushers have their for-profit businesses, running tours, and a lot of them aren't keeping track in terms of taxes, etc., in terms of what they're selling, and this, that, the other thing. So it's. And I don't necessarily really want to get so much into that. It's more just, I think, it's a workers' rights type issue, and it's the fact that if you're running a nonprofit, you got money coming in half a dozen different ways, and you're a couple months into your project, and you're sort of losing the energy and the steam. You got to look hard at the fact that you need to be able to have people get paid and have a little bit more structure, so that you can keep that momentum over time, and you can't embezzle money. You have to have a nonprofit organization. The people get a salary or something like that. So, jumping into the thing right after the fire and slapping together a couple cabins, though that seems great, and the Anchorage, a lot of these newspapers sort of, and Boozer's a big architect of the news, as is the D.D. John Rowe. They're not the type to ever, you don't see them out in the dog yard much doing work, but they're the type to really be homey with the newspaper. It's just business. It's just the newspapers are PR machines for wealthy people everywhere. So it's not something that's unique to this scenario. But so you've got this thing where they're kind of jumping out. You've got your newspaper articles, and you've got all this positive press for this thing. And I was up in Willow, and nothing's going on where they got that shit in the community center park lot. They charge very little for a couple months or several weeks going back and forth to town. And I'm just like, I just wanted to jump in and get involved and help and do a positive thing. It wasn't a matter of me trying to tear them down, but at the same point, I can see clearly that, having been in a similar situation, jumping in and trying to organize stuff, you can sometimes forget the details, and but in the big picture, those details are necessary, and there's a reason, just to protect yourself from accusations of embezzlement and stuff. That's why you need a nonprofit status, and you need to be able to have a clear, where the fund's going, where the fund's coming from, who's getting the cabin built before the other person, why, there's all these different things, and when Krysta says she's got a couple hundred emails she hasn't responded to, she's denying people access, helping and getting involved in the group and to help, and basically she's blocking and preventing